Good evening. How is everyone? We got a little delayed start. Let's try again. How is everyone? Much more awake. Excellent. Welcome to Millennium Stage tonight. Please welcome Liberated Muse with the presentation for Toni, a tribute to Toni Morrison. Enjoy.
Mama, I feel you under my feet. Mama, I feel your heartbeat. Hey, 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 oh. Hey, 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 oh. Mama, I feel you under my feet. Mama, I feel your heartbeat. Hey, 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 oh. Hey, 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 oh. Mama, I'm here because of you. Mama, I feel your heart upon your legacy. Here I stand. Your gifts, your lessons, wisdom too. Mama, I feel your heart. Oh, you help me understand. Oh, Mama, I feel you under my feet. Mama, I feel your heart. Oh, Mama, I sing for you. Oh, Mama, I feel you under my feet. Mama, I feel your heartbeat. Oh,
Master artist, queen of language and literature, memory of history, culture, and creation, we come together for you to call your name into the silence, blanketing the room with the brilliance of your light, rivaling the luster of the stars, Sirius, sparkling so bright, we are left breathless in its sheen. Even in death, your light still gleams. You are teacher and goddess mother, wielding language as your golden specter, impeccable perfection. Each word placed spectacularly in monumental resurrection of the word, gilded gold. In each line, our story is told. Pecola, Sula, Nell, Pilots, Setha, Denver, baby Suggs, living, breathing, full-bodied people. Your pen breathed life into each woman, dressing them in your vivid fluency, your mesmerizing imagination beautifully realized, shared gracefully with the world. This tribute is for you. We are better because of your gallant appreciation and care with our fragile remembering, ushering us gently toward a better understanding of who we are. This word, this moment, this fraction of infinity is for Chloe Ardelia Warford, for our Toni Morrison. With love, always. Happy Black History Month. That's right. What an honor it is to be here today to honor the iconic literary artist we know as Toni Morrison. My name is Khadijah Ali Coleman. I am here today with my sisters Koli Aziza and, yes, Angela Ballard and Lynn Artepe, our collective known as Liberated Muse. We will be joined today by fellow sister authors Olu Butterfly, Kimberly Collins, and Sarah Trimbath, supported by the phenomenal music accompaniment led by guitarist Charles Wright, featuring Daruba Kenyatta on drums and Mike Pryor on bass. That's why you can give it up for the instrumentalists, hey. And I would be remiss to not acknowledge the beautiful artwork. Do you like it? I know, love it. It's by the impeccable visual artist known as Zdeka Terrell. Today, for Toni, we remember her through her literary best-selling novels. And we start with her breakthrough novel, The Bluest Eye, published in 1970. This book introduces us to the little girl named Pecola. Raised without a loving foundation, Pecola longs for what she believes will be her salvation, the bluest of blue eyes. Wrapped in layers of self-loathing and unhappiness, this little girl falls into a state of madness that our beloved Toni Morrison intricately explored and illustrated with intensity and poignancy that one feels in each pore and crevice of their being. In an interview with Oprah Winfrey, Toni Morrison shares that her character Pecola, quote, "There were no exits, no doors to her, open to her, so she made a door for herself, and that was her insanity." My Liberated Muse sister Lynn will read an excerpt from The Bluest Eye, followed by our sister Koli Aziza performing the song Black Love from Koli's CD, Light Up the Darkness.
Letting herself breathe easy now, Pecola covered her head with the quilt. The sick feeling which she tried to prevent by holding in her stomach, it came quickly in spite of her precautions. There surged in her a desire to heave. But as always, she knew she would not. "Please, God," she whispered into the palm of her hands, "please, make me disappear." She squeezed her eyes shut. Little parts of her body faded away. Now slowly, now with a rush, slowly again. Her fingers went one by one. Then her arms disappeared all the way to the elbow. Her feet now. Yes, that was good. The legs all at once. It was hardest above the thighs. She had to be real still and pull. Her stomach would not go, but finally, it went away too. Then her chest, her neck, the face. That was hard too. Almost done, almost. Only her tight, tight eyes were left. They were always left. It had occurred to Pecola some time ago that if her eyes, those eyes that held the pictures and knew the sights, if those eyes of hers were different, that is to say, beautiful, she herself would be different. Her teeth were good, and at least her nose was not big and flat like some of those who thought to be cute. If she looked different, beautiful, maybe Charlie would be different, and Mrs. Breedlove too. Maybe they'd say, "Why, look at pretty-eyed Pecola. We mustn't do bad things in front of those beautiful eyes." Pretty eyes.
Pretty eyes.
Pretty blue eyes.
Pretty blue eyes.
Big blue pretty eyes. Run, Jip, run. Jip runs. Alice runs. Alice has blue eyes. Jerry has blue eyes. Jerry runs. Alice runs. They run with their blue eyes. Four blue eyes. Four pretty blue eyes. Blue sky eyes. Blue like Mrs. Ford's blue blouse eyes. Morning glory blue eyes.
Glory blue eyes.
Alice and Jerry blue storybook eyes.
My daddy told me he loved me. He told me I was the best. He worked real hard for his family, sometimes 2 jobs. My daddy told me he loved me. He gave me his gift of song. I didn't need to find a man to be my daddy, 'cause I had one. My mommy told me she loved me. She told me I was the smartest girl in the world. She taught me to have an opinion, to look beneath the surface. My mommy told me she loved me. She led by example. She taught me how to be a woman, a strong one, a wise one. Black love, sure love, what I dream of. Black love's what I need. Black love, self-love, what we need is some black love. Come save me. My grandma, she was foundation. Was the roots to archery. She told me always remember, 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 remember. Grandma was my history. My grandma told me she loved me. She planted seeds in my
We turn next to one of Toni Morrison's lesser-known books when compared to The Bluest Eye, and some of the other books will later feature. Jazz was a particular interest to us to mention because it was written after Toni won a Pulitzer Prize, a Nobel Prize, and it takes place in Harlem during the 1920s, which in this country was the period known as the Harlem Renaissance. The book presents its characters in a jazz-like improvisational style. Author Sarah Trimbath shares a passage from this novel, followed by More Better Blues, the song that will be sung by Khadija Ali Coleman.
Armistice was 7 years old the winter Violet disrupted the funeral, and vets on 7th Avenue were still wearing their Army-issued greatcoats because nothing they could pay for is as sturdy or hides so well as what they had boasted of in 1919. 8 years later, the day before Violet's misbehavior, when the snow comes, it sits where it falls on Lexington and Park Avenue 2 and waits for horse-drawn wagons to tamp it down when they deliver coal for the furnaces cooling down in the cellars. Up in those big 5-story apartment buildings and the narrow wooden houses in between, people knock on each other's doors to see if anything is needed or can be had. A piece of soap, a little kerosene, some fat, chicken or pork, to brace the soup just one more time. Whose husband is getting ready to go, see if he can find a shop open? Is there time to add turpentine to the list drawn up and handed to him by the wives? breathing hurts in weather that cold. But whatever the problems of being winter-bound in the city, they put up with them because it's worth anything to be on Lenox Avenue, safe from the au faits and the things that they think up, where the sidewalks, snow-covered or not, are wider than the main roads of the towns where they were born, and perfectly ordinary people can stand at the stop, get on the streetcar, give the man the nickel, and ride anywhere you please. Although you don't please to go many places, because everything you want is right where you are. The church, the store, the party, the women, the men, the post box, but no high schools, the furniture store, street newspaper vendors, the bootleg houses, but no banks, the beauty parlors, the barber shops, the juke joints, the ice wagons, the rag collectors, the pool hall, the open food markets, the number runner, and every club, organization, group, order, union, society, brotherhood, sisterhood, or association imaginable. The service trails, of course, are worn, and there are paths slick from the forays of members of one group into the territory of another, where it is believed something curious or thrilling lies. Some gleaming, cracking, scary stuff, where you can pop the cork and put the cold glass mouth right up to your own, where you can find danger or be it, where you can fight till you drop and smile at the knife when it misses, and when it doesn't, it makes you wonderful just to see it.
You can never tell what's in a man's mind, and if he's from Harlem, there's no use of even trying. Just like the tide is mind comes and goes, like March weather will it change? Nobody knows, nobody knows. The man I love, well, he just turned me down. He's a Harlem Brown. Oftentimes I wish that I were in this ground, 6 feet underground. He idolized me as no other could, no, no, no. Then he surprised me, leaving me a note saying that he was gone for good. And since my sweetie left me Harlem, well, it ain't the same old place. Though 1,000 dandies smile right in my face, I think I'll mooch some homemade hooch and go out for a lark, just to drive off these mean old Harlem blues. You could have your Broadway, give me Lenox Avenue. Angels from the sky stroll 7th, and for that, thanks are due. From Madam Walker's beauty shop to Roro Systems too, oh, that made those girls angels without any doubt. 'Cause there are some spots up in Harlem where I'm told it's sudden death to let somebody see you, even stop to catch your breath. If you've never been to Harlem, well, I guess you'll never know the power of these mean old Harlem blues. On this one sweet spot in Harlem, known as Drivers Row,
Ditty folks, some call them. There's one thing you should know, is that I have a friend who lives there. I know he won't refuse to put some music to my troubles and call them Harlem Blues. And since my sweetie left me Harlem, well, it ain't the same old place. Though 1,000 dandies smile right in my face, I think I'll mooch some homemade hooch and go out for a lark, just to drive off these mean old Harlem blues. All this one sweet spot in Harlem, known as Drivers Row. Ditty folks, some call them. There's one thing you should know, is that I have a friend who lives there. I know he won't refuse to put some music to my troubles and call them Harlem Blues. To put some music to my troubles and call them the Harlem Blues. Harlem, the Harlem Blues. Harlem, the Harlem Blues.
In Sula, Toni Morrison introduces the story of two women, from girlhood to adulthood, confronting a society that does not know what to do with women who are free, illustrating the consequence of being without boundary while living on the fringes of respectability. The character Sula offered her friend Nell a glimpse into the forbidden world of womanhood that she was raised to distrust and conceal within herself. Towards the end of the novel, Sula cries out, "I have sung all the songs. I have sung all the songs there are." We have crafted a song from this refrain that we will present to you after Baltimore-based and internationally renowned poet Olu Butterfly shares an excerpt from Sula.
Every now and then, she looked around for tangible evidence of his ever having been there. Where were the butterflies, the blueberries, the whistling reed? She could find nothing, for he had left nothing but his stunning absence. An absence so decorative, so ornate, it was difficult for her to understand how she had ever endured without falling dead or being consumed his magnificent presence. Then, one day, burrowing in a dresser drawer, she found what she had been looking for, proof that he had been there, his driver's license. It contained just what she needed for verification: his vital statistics: born 1901, height 5'11", weight 152 pounds, eyes brown, hair black, color black. Oh yes, skin black, very black. So black that only a steady, careful rubbing with steel wool would remove it. And as it was removed, there was the glint of gold leaf, and under the gold leaf, the cold alabaster, and deep, deep down under the cold alabaster, more black, only this time the black of warm loam. But what was this? Albert Jacks? His name was Albert Jacks? Ajax. She had thought it was Ajax all those years. Even from the time she walked by the pool hall and looked away from him, sitting astride a wooden chair, looked away to keep from seeing the wide space of intolerable orderliness between his legs, the openness that held no sign at all, of the animal that lurked in his trousers, looked away from the insolent nostrils and the smile that kept slipping and falling, so she wanted to reach out with her hand to catch it before it fell to the pavement and was sullied by the cigarette butts and bottle caps and spittle at his feet. And the feet of other men who sat or stood around outside the pool hall, calling, singing out to her, and Nell, and grown women too, with lyrics like pig meat and brown sugar and jailbait and oh Lord, what have I done to deserve the wrath? And take me, Jesus, I have seen the promised land, and do, Lord, remember me, in voices mellowed by hopeless passion into gentleness. Even then, when she and Nell were trying hard not to dream of him and not to think of him, when they touched the softness in their underwear or undid their braids as soon as they left home to let the hair bump and wave around their ears, or wrapped the cotton binding around their chests so the nipples would not break through their blouses and give him cause to smile, his slipping, falling smile, which brought the blood rushing to their skin. And even later, when for the first time in her life she had lain in bed with a man and said his name involuntarily, or said it truly meaning him, the name she was screaming and saying was not his at all. Sula stood with the worn slip of paper in her fingers and said aloud to no one, I didn't even know his name. And if I didn't know his name, then there is nothing I did know. And I have known nothing ever at all since the one thing I wanted was to know his name. So how could he help but leave me since he was making love to a woman who didn't even know his name? Holding the driver's license, she crawled into bed and fell into a sleep full of dreams of cobalt blue. When she awoke, there was a melody in her head she could not identify or recall ever hearing before. Perhaps I made it up, she thought. Then it came to her, the name of the song and all its lyrics, just as she had heard it many times before. She sat on the edge of the bed thinking, there aren't any more new songs, and I have sung all the ones there are. I have sung them all. I have sung all the songs there are. She lay down again on the bed and sang a little wandering tune made up of the words, I have sung all the songs I have sung, all the songs there are, until, touched by her own lullaby, she grew drowsy, and in the hollow of near sleep, she tasted the acridness of gold, left the chill of alabaster, and smelled the dark, sweet stench of loam.
I have sung all the songs. I have sung all the songs there are. I have sung all the songs. I have sung all the songs there are. I have sung all the songs. I have sung all the songs there are. I have sung all the songs. I have sung all the songs. Despite their stares, despite their glares, I still walked on, head held high to the sky, never shrinking. You can't diminish me, I'm rising. I stand high, and there below, you try to pull me down inside, you know. My feet will never touch the ground, dismantle me. And you desecrate yourself, truth be told. I am you and nothing else. I have sung all the songs. I have sung all the songs there are. I have sung all the songs. I have sung all the
songs there are. I have sung all the songs. I have sung all the songs there are. I have sung all the songs. I have sung all the songs.
She curves lips, rounding O's and elegance, shaped wide and heavy, holding your mouth full, your brain widening, long-legged audacity, fire in belly blaze, lit. She hollers consonants, whispering crescendos into poetic prose like teardrops, dripping the pain of the voiceless. Ancestor, she remembers her language is the finest of all, draping the pages into immaculate landscapes that dip heavy into the blood-filled canyons, into the graves of the enslaved, into the riches of the ditches dug deep to imprison us. She sets us free. Her language is the dialect of the wise women, the clucking chatter of the common folk, the regal vanity of the few who knew that the language is the nectar of the journey, the soil of the garden that is the growing page. And like a good mother, she birthed this knowing in us for always.
I have sung all the songs. I have sung all the songs there are. I have sung all the songs. I have sung all the songs there are. I have sung all the songs. I have sung all the songs there are. I have sung all the songs. I have sung all the songs.
For Toni, we remember her two most iconic novels, Beloved and Song of Solomon. Beloved is a cultural gift that pushed back against the fictional narratives that muted our inner discord, tainted the idea of rebellion during slavery, and conformed our ignorance within a hollow story shaped by the oppressors. Toni Morrison's brutally searing fictive narrative pushed us outside of this hollow history to consider the idea that slavery's destructive impact existed far beyond the physical, bleeding into the lives of the survivors and their descendants to come. With this book, we saw the enslaved as humans, people crafting lives together after trauma that never heals, learning to become shapers of their own lives, leaders of their own outcomes. In Toni Morrison's award-winning novel, Song of Solomon, the character Milkman wants to feel unbound and free and tries to live accordingly. But his lack of knowing when it comes to his family's heritage and migration story leaves him desperate for a sense of grounding and foundation. In this book, we meet the otherworldly character Pilot, a representation of all we are in our national state of being when identity is rooted in cultural heritage. She is our ideal. And with her knowing, she is the unbound representation of whom Milkman strives to become. Now, Khadijah will share her song Unbound from her 2016 CD, Song of a Space Cadet, as an offering after author Kimberly Collins reads her ode to Toni Morrison, shared with us, called Prose for Toni, and then that will be followed by the spiritual hand on the plow, as I will offer the closing words on the book, Beloved.
Toni was just cool. Round midnight, words to a monk melody, cool. Talking, walking New York streets, down a Soul Train line, bumping afros with Angela Davis, cool. Smooth talking guitar, cool. You think because he doesn't love you that you are worthless, that he's correct? You can't lose what you don't own. Sula cool, sitting there with that yellow ribbon in her hair, getting chumped by love because she forgot. Love can snuggle, pinch, move on without clamps, wrenches, or screws keeping it in place. Shadrach said, always. Bow-legged, walking, madness, treading water enough to quench thirst, too much to avoid suicide. Always a vigil on present dangers. She was so cool. She didn't need clay and crayons to make her own self, letting it drop like a plate if it must. She was a signifying shapeshifter, loosening operatic high notes, disrupting sound with love. She reached under America's skirt to pull up her umber hem. In this here place, we flesh that weeps, laughs, flesh that dances on bare feet in grass. Love it hard. Baby Suggs without practice, hymnal or choir. Sermons, praise dancers, leaping from weeping trees, crimson streamers in hand, casting spells, lifted off tongues of world weather, naked belly women sliding around life on flattened slipper backs or no shoes at all, chewing, always chewing, gnashing on wisdom wet tails, tilting bodies into lean, posting up at furnaces hot with memory, a paradise lost. Browning, blue-eyed wishes died in communal longing, worrying about the edges of their hair. Their cuckooberries kneeling in perms, worshiping love-weary black men. Everybody want the life of a black man, everybody. And black women, they want your whole self. Can't she criticize whom she loves? It's all about love. Songs sobbing, soughing into brisk winds, stinging creased skins. Our survival needing 7 days to write it, flight being an acceptable option. Handmade paper mache, Superman cloak, wings, ascending clawfoot spirits, ancestral myths, wrapping damp, drooping dreams for departure, homeward bound.
Reads that we will soon see the light of day, that speaks the answers and throws all doubt away. Until that happens, we seek and yet to find a special calling that calms and gives peace of mind. When spirit rises from the temple of the fallen ones, our minds unravel and the loss of faith is now begun. We see deceit and lies all around. Our innocence lost, hopelessness now found. Whoa, whoa, I implore you to see there's so much more to this life than what we believe. Throw away all the things that deceive your mind. Our spirit cells want freedom now. Pray to the stars that shone within, recreating a divine that would never end. Transformation was a stage and a state of mind. Somehow we've lost that note. Despair is what was left behind. False creation is the reason for the ills we know. The time is now to choose the path in which we will go. Tap into your inner soul. Become the prayer, give love control. Whoa, whoa, I implore with me. Set your spirit free. Come and fly with me. Set your spirit free. Come and fly with me. Set your spirit free. Come and fly with me. Set your spirit free. Come and fly with me. Set your spirit free. Come and fly with me. Set your spirit free. Come and fly with me. Unbound. Come and fly with me. Set your spirit free.
When you plow, don't lose your track. Can't plow straight and keep looking back. Keep your hand on the plow. Hold on, hold on, hold on.
Hold on.
Hold on.
Hold on.
Keep your hand on that plow. Hold on, hold on.
Keep on plowing and don't you tire. Every roll goes higher and higher. Keep your hand on that plow. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your hand on that plow. Hold on.
If there's one thing we did right, it's the day we started to fight. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on, hold on.
Hold on.
Hold on.
Hold on.
Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on.
The character Paul D says to the main character Setha, both escaped former enslaved people from the same plantation. Setha, he says, me and you, we got more yesterdays than anybody, and we had some type of tomorrow. Both characters are haunted by the choices made to gain their freedom and mentally scarred by the treatment they received while enslaved. Toni Morrison crafted detailed narrative that shapes this haunting into human form, imagining what becomes of our nightmares when they take shape and speak back to us. In her mental unwellness, Setha finds comfort in her friend Paul D, who assures her that she has the will to live and exist because she is her own personal champion who has gotten herself as far as she is now. He comforts her with the often quoted line, you're your best thing, Setha. You are. This book gave context to what we see around us today as the people who make the world go round.
Trash man didn't get my trash today. Oh, why? Because they want more pay. Buses on strike want to raise and fare so they can help pollute the air. But that's what makes the world go round. The up and down, the
without a care. But that's what makes the world go round, the up and down the carousel. Changing people, they'll go round, go underground, young men. People make the world go round.
On your own, every day, you defy reality. Being bold, being strong, being who you want to be. Despite the fools who try to say that you ain't all that, you are here, being you, always pushing back.
But that's what makes the world go round, the up and down the carousel. Changing people, they'll go round, go underground, young men. People make the world go round. 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 Yeah. People make the world go round. People make the world go
How you all feeling? You feeling good? You feeling good? Yes. I feel Toni Morrison's energy in the air. As we close, we breathe for Toni. We love for Toni. We remember for Toni Morrison. And we are eternally grateful for the legacy of her work. We are better because she has graced this earth. Her work is a living, breathing testament of her love for us. And so in this moment for Toni, we celebrate the living, the breathing, and the culture. Toni Morrison, we will be loving you for always.
As around the earth, the earth knows she's revolving. The rosebuds know to bloom in early May. Just as hate no love's the cure, you can rest your mind sure that I'll be loving you always. As now can feel the mystery of tomorrow, but in passing we'll grow older every day. All that's born is new, you know what I say is true. 'Cause I'll be loving you always.
Until the rainbow burns the stars out in the sky.
Always.
Until the ocean covers every mountain high.
Always.
Until the dolphins try to perish in that sea.
Always.
Until we dream of life and life becomes a dream. Did you know that true love lasts for nothing? Acceptance is the way we pay. Did you know that life is giving love a guarantee to last through forever and another day?
Just as time knew to move on since the beginning, and the seasons know exactly when to change. Just as kindness know no shame, know through all your joy and pain, that I'll be loving you always.
Yesterday I know I'm living, but tomorrow may be the past, but that I mustn't fear. For I know deep in my mind the love of me I left behind, and I'll be loving loving you always.
Until the day is night and night becomes the day.
Always.
Until the trees and seas just up and fly away.
I'll be loving you
Until the day
forever.
that 8 times 8 is 4.
Always.
Until the day that is the day there are no more.
Do you know you're loved by
Until the
somebody?
day the earth starts turning right to left.
Always.
Until the earth and all the sun denies itself.
I'll be loving you.
Until your mother nature says her work is through.
Always.
Until the day that you are me and I am you. Until the rainbow burns the stars out in the sky. Always. Ocean covers every mountain high. Always. Broken hearts and parents will not see. Always. Until we dream of life and life becomes a dream. Until the day is night and night becomes a day.
I'll be loving you.
Until the trees and seas just up and fly away. Until the day there is the day there are no more. Until the earth starts turning right to left. Until the earth is on the sun and night itself. Until the mother nature says her work is through.
For coming out today.
Until the day
Did you have a
that
good
are
time?
me and I am you.
You had a good time?
Until the day is night and night becomes
Well, I had a good time celebrating one of my favorite authors. And I want to thank you for having the interest in coming out tonight to celebrate with us. We thank you for sharing with us, and we give high praise to the artist known as Toni Morrison. And as we say goodnight, I would like to reintroduce you to the wonderful artists that grace this stage. I'd like to start with our special guest, Kimberly Collins, Sarah Trimbath, Olu Butterfly Woods. Would like to give it up for our music director and our guitarist, Charles Wright. Woo! Our drummer, the amazing Daruma Kenyatta. Our funky bass man who also helped out on vocals. Give it up for Mike Pryor. And you ready to meet the ladies of Liberated Muse? All right. So at the end, give it up for the gorgeous Lynn Artepay. Next to her is the extremely phenomenal vocalist, Koli Aziza. And then bringing in the groove, the funk and the soul. Give it up for my sister, Anonymous Groove. And in case you forgot my name is Khadijah Ali Coleman, Creative Director of Liberated Muse. You can learn more about us, at liberatedmuse.com. We'd like to thank the staff of the Kennedy Center for their amazing work ethic and just wonderful care of us, and interest in continuing to honor amazing artists like the iconic and legendary Toni Morrison. Thank you so much for coming out. We appreciate you.